Hello, today I am with Mr. Francisco Alvarez. I am José Blanco, and we are investigating about if the agriculture mechanism, if the machinery in agriculture is necessary in Zamorano or it is not necessary. Today I am with Mr. Francisco. He is the expert. He is the boss in the unity of agriculture, the machinery unity and irrigation system in Zamorano. Hello, Mr. Francisco.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. So to continue with the interview, as you know, in agriculture exists a lot of.
Are you sure that's recording?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah. In agriculture exists a lot of machines, and those machines have a lot of uses and different jobs. What do you think about what is the main idea of mechanization of our machines, the machine uses in the agriculture in Zamorano?
Well, not only in Zamorano, the main purpose of using a machine or a tractor or anything similar to that is to increase the productivity. Since the 18th century, agriculture has had a lot of changes. Maybe in the past it was small plots for small farmers, for small families, but population in the world has grown so much. Now we are like maybe 8 billion, I don't know. And if we only depended on human labor or animal labor as in the 18th or 19th century, we wouldn't be able to produce enough food for all the people that live nowadays in Earth.
Okay, so for you exists any other motive that exists machines in agriculture?
Well, what other purpose than
To
produce
make
efficiently food for everybody?
Yeah. Okay, so to continue with the interview, in agriculture it's very important search different ways that can improve the production, as you say, the use of machines. So right now in Zamorano we use different kinds of machinery. Do you think that that out of that machines in Zamorano are necessary, or some of them are not necessary, or for example can be replaced by hand production by people?
Well, that depends. Remember, we are a university. We're not an enterprise dedicated to profit only. We are a non-profit organization, so we have to teach everything from small-scale production to high-tech production. So if you ask me, maybe if we only were an enterprise dedicated to profit, many of the tractors maybe we have would be here. Maybe with 5 to 6 very efficient tractors and the implements they need to work, we could be okay. But why don't we have a harvester here? We don't have a harvester. Do you know what a combine is?
Yeah.
Well, why don't we have a combine? Because Zamorano produces so little in grains and seeds that even though we need it to teach and for you to learn, the cost of a combine is high. It's not less than $300,000 or $400,000. So that's like a process that we do by hand. Because if we did it by a machine, the cost of that seed or that grain would be very high.
Okay. So thank you. So to continue, a third question: exists a big difference, as you can see, as you say, exists a big difference between hand production and machinery production. Can you mention some aspects that where we can't use machinery?
Where we cannot use machinery.
We cannot. Yeah, well,
that is a very open question because there are a lot of factors in which I can think you cannot use machines.
For example, in the topography or something like that?
Not topography, maybe cost efficiency.
Efficiency?
Maybe let's go to soil humidity, where places where you have very too wet soils, maybe the effect of using machines is more negative than not using them. Sometimes in Zamorano we have to use hand labor because we cannot enter a field because it is too wet. As I told you before, when the activity is too small to buy a big machine as in harvesting, maybe in research where you need very precise or very accurate hand jobs in order to select a seed or a plant that needs to be chosen for its genetics. And I don't know, I can talk about this all night.
Oh yeah. So the main purpose are the efficiency, are the cost of production, are the soil conditions.
Not only soil, maybe
Not only soil conditions.
environmental conditions.
Environmental conditions.
Soil is an example.
Okay, yeah. So for example, the first example that you give to us is the soils with too much water.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because I read in a special webpage of John Deere that if you get in a space of land with too much water with a machine, you can decrease the quality of the soil. You can
Yeah,
affect
because
the soil.
remember, roots need space to grow, and the pores of the soil are needed for water or for air. And if you enter a field that is with too much water, you're gonna compact.
Okay. Okay. So to continue, in agriculture we have different uses of the machinery, and the machinery have a lot of kinds of machines and uses. So can you mention a common use that the majority of the machines in Zamorano have? A common use, for example, the labor of the land or
Well, that depends on the exploitation. Maybe in Zamorano it's different from another farm. In Zamorano, maybe 30 to 40% of our machines and implements are used for tillage. Then the other 60% are used for planting, for crop maintenance, for harvesting.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. So, talking about precision agriculture, now precision agriculture nowadays have a big impact because we need to conserve the water, we need to conserve the environment. So the precision agriculture it's a big thing right now. It's the newest technology, and for example, to the tractors exist different kinds of GPS, satellite information that permit to work a tractor better. Do Zamorano use this kind of technology right now?
Yes. Well, let's remember that precision agriculture is not only sensors and GPS and tractors that drive alone. Precision agriculture is based on three main aspects. One is to observe, the other one is to measure, and the third one is to make decisions based on what you measured and what you observed. So it means using in the most efficient way your inputs like water, fertilizer, time, money, land, etc. because you know exactly what happens in every square meter of your field, in fertility, in how this fertility affects the growth of a crop, and how the yield is affected by the growth of the crops. So precision agriculture is all this. a tractor and an implement and all the sensors and the GPS and the satellite signal is only a tool used to make the process more efficient
Yeah.
and to register information. Why do you need to register? Because if you register and you know the tendency of something, then you can make better decisions throughout the time. So Zamorano is using precision agriculture since it was created.
Okay.
That's why Zamorano is famous, because we use knowledge in order to create practical ways of producing. The technology that you are talking about, Zamorano bought 3 John Deere systems like 1 year ago, and we are getting into this sensor thing. We have now 3 tractors with a system. Actually, the tractors can only be driven by themselves, but as I told you before, it's not only that. We have to know what happens in the soil. We have to make maps of what happens in the soil. We have to take notations and register what happens to our yields. And according to that, we have to improve what
What
for the
action
next years.
in the future,
Yes.
the next actions in the future. So right now, those tractor with that technology, can you give me an example of one crop or in Zamorano, in what area or in what crop you are using that technology?
For almost everything, tillage, for plowing, for harrowing, for planting, for applying chemicals, for applying fertilizers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So as you can see, on agriculture we have different kinds of soils. Talking about soils, and as we know, we have to take care of the soils because they are a limited resource on earth. So in agriculture, we have to produce in that different kinds of soils. So can you mention the main idea to use machinery on soils, if it's necessary always to get machines on the soils, or exist some aspects when you don't need machines on soils, or and here in Zamorano, it is totally necessary in all the area of Zamorano to use machines to improve the soil or work with the soil.
Well, remember, why do we use machinery here in Zamorano? For annual crops, you need to give the seed a better place to develop. Aeration, a good drainage, a good space for its roots to grow. And one way of doing that is to move the soil. You can move it with many implements. If you have a deep soil, you can use a disc plow, you can use a chisel plow. That depends on how much you want to conserve the soil. Remember, we don't have to put or to give priority to soil removal without taking into account that we need to conserve the soil too. So anything that you can do in order to conserve the soil, using or not using machines, is good. But you have to take into consideration that you have to conserve soil, because soil will be degraded if you abuse using machinery too. Even though you don't enter a field a lot, like in a pasture, for example. In a pasture, how many times do you enter a year? Maybe 2, 3? But what happens in a field where you are planting 2 or 3 times per year? You enter to plow the field, or to harrow the field, or to plant the field, then to apply something, then to maintain the crop, and then to harvest. For every cycle, it's like 4 to 6 times. So you have to be pretty careful in what you're doing. But I'm pretty sure machines do the job easier.
Okay. So Okay. In some cases, the people have the people don't have the specific machinery to do some work, and those are normal cases. So those people that doesn't have the specific machinery normally rent a machinery, rent the specific machinery. Does Zamorano needs to rent a specific machinery to rent to do a specific job?
Yes, sometimes you have to know this. That's an economic question. That depends on how many hours per year you use a machine. That depends on not only on that, because if maybe you use it only a few hours during the year, but maybe when you want to rent somebody, everybody wants to rent the same machine too. So the cost of opportunity may be very small. So sometimes it's better to have your machine, sometimes it's better to rent it. There are 2 or 3 activities in which we have to rent machines. For right now, we are renting a machine to harvest sorghum for xylem.
Okay.
Because we don't have the ability to harvest in the time we need to.
Okay.
But we are planning to get our own machine. As a matter of fact, it arrived yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, the new harvesting.
The new harvesters,
Oh,
yes.
yeah. So that harvest will be from Zamorano.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Around the world exist different trademarks, famous trademarks like John Deere, like Case, and another more
Brands.
brands. Sorry. Do you mention what is the most used brand here in Zamorano?
Well, I don't think only in Zamorano. I think all over the world it's John Deere.
John Deere. Oh, are you saying that John Deere is the king of the brands around the world?
Well, I'm not saying
Leadership?
it's the king. I'm saying it's the brand that sells the most.
The most. Oh, okay. Okay. Do you are right now? It's easy for you to get all the parts. For example, when you need to repair a tractor, it is easy to you to get all the parts, to buy the parts, or
I think the best post sales service, after sales service, is given by the John Deere distributor here in Honduras.
Okay. Okay. So it's very important to take to have that kind of help. To produce on a big extension of land, some people use machines to plant, for example. Does Zamorano use machines to plant? To plant, for example, in a big space of land or crops that need.
Yes. As an example, we plant like 110 hectares per year for silage.
For silage.
Yes.
That's talking about sorghum.
Yes,
Okay.
sorghum or maize.
Or okay.
Yes. And to do that manually, it's practically difficult
Difficult and
or impossible.
impossible. And not only impossible, maybe if you decide to get that job by hand, maybe your cost will increase. Definitely.
No, not maybe. Definitely, it will increase. Yes.
Definitely, it will increase on the time. So thank you. As we can conclude that in Zamorano it's really necessary the machinery, right?
Yes, for all the activities we're in, learning by doing, academy, research, and production, we do need machinery.
Okay. So as you can see, people, the machinery in Zamorano it's really necessary to increase the production, to take care about the soils, and many other aspects. So we are Ricardo Carpio and José Blanco, and thank you, Mr. Alvarez, for
You're welcome.
for your help. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.